Welcome to Yogaxpress, the mobile stretch clinic that takes yoga to the people. In the last few weeks, we learned a lot with the help of Douglas Stewart, to my left, and Ambyr another New York instructor. We especially learned that yoga is a discipline. Yoga is not about sitting in lotus position and going Om, nor is it about flexing or contorting your body. It's about flexing the mind. It's about feeling calm, poised, confident, and beautiful after each practice. Most of all, it's about attitudes. These are the qualities that protect us from external harm. Yoga is an attitude and a mindset that says, I am a better person with every passing day. With that, I'm going to request Douglas, immediately after we introduce our guest today, I'm going to request Douglas to help us understand how we develop our attitudes by focusing on certain elements of yoga. There are doshas, there are koshas, gunas. I'm not going to go into too much detail because that is Douglas's realm. We'll start with Zai to my extreme right in the yellow shirt. Let me get Josiane. Did I get your name right? Josiane is here for the first time. Josiane to Zai's left. To Josiane's left, we have Judith. I'm Banu Suresh, Douglas Stewart, our guest expert for this evening. Judy Jacob, Margery Weston, Amy Kitchener. You have seen most of us here before. We have one new guest, and most of the others have been here with you. Douglas, I've had a lot of people asking me, and in fact, I think you started it off last time, so it's all your fault. Now you have to take off on it. We talked about doshas, koshas, gunas. What are those words? I mean, they sound very sacred. I don't know. They sound very, very special. But can you help us understand what those? Douglas and I scribbled a few notes. We shared notes and we've put down some points.
Well, they do sound a bit strange, but we all are influenced by doshas and koshas and gunas. Even sitting here, the experience of those aspects and qualities are in effect even in this moment. They're not so foreign. As you all know, the yogis have experienced the world or nature in elements, say earth, water, fire, space, air, and space. You can see that and feel those elements in play even now as we're sitting here. We're solid, there's the earth part of us, there is the moisture that's responsible for blinking of our eyes and the saliva that we're swallowing as my mouth gets drier talking about this topic, and the heat that's generating in our bodies at this point representing fire, the air, the breath that we're breathing in and out, and of course the space that we're occupying. Those elements are everywhere, and that's how the yogis see the world and nature. The doshas are the combination of those elements. Earth and water make the dosha kapha. Fire is the pitta dosha, and air and space make the vata dosha. And we're governed by those aspects as well. The qualities of nature. You were going to ask me a question because I'm getting ready to go off.
No. I was going to ask further on that. So if someone is vata, so let's say Judy is vata, does that mean that she is more in tune with air and space? How do you relate it to a daily life?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sure. And then we get a chance to, with those descriptions and aspects and qualities, we get a chance to sort of experience ourselves through that lens. If you're really spacey and airy, or maybe the outside is really cold like today and dry, we think of this as being a vata season. Dry, cold, and maybe your temperament might be the same way. Dry, cold, bitter, not bitter in attitude, but just bitter maybe in taste, and that you could get a chance to frame it in that way. It's general, but there you go. Pitta, fire, heat, digestion, combustion. Earth or kapha would be more solid, the more solid state. So you get a chance to sort of see yourself through that lens, and then say when you take a pose, a yoga pose, then those aspects and those qualities come into play, you see. So it becomes a deeper involvement of the practice.
So say, for instance, if you look at Josiane, would you be able to say what?
Well, you know, an Ayurvedic specialist would know exactly by looking at Josiane's eyes, by the texture of her skin, by the pulse that the specialist would take in the wrist, by drops of saliva. I mean, all of those things, the temperament, all of those things help to determine the dominant dosha of one person.
Right.
We're all governed by all three of them, but sometimes, or most of us, are governed by two, or one or two are dominant. But they're all they're all a part of us.
So what is, you know what, maybe we'll go into koshas later. I think
Okay.
I'm going to have Amy.
I scared you, didn't
No, I know, it's really intense. So does that make me air and space? I scare easily, is that? Or maybe at this point, maybe later I'll become pitta or kapha, I don't know.
Well, personality certainly can
They
be
change,
defined
right?
by that, but you know, it's just a way of our discerning how we approach life. You know,
Right.
sure, you can say my temperament is probably pretty fiery, and I get heated up fast, and I like information, and I digest information. That's typically a pitta
Okay, so
personality.
high metabolism.
That, yes. So, and heated is the pitta type
I
person.
think that has something to do with the foods we eat. If
And
I eat spicy foods.
certainly, Banu, if you eat spicy foods, then that will heighten what's already present in you. And if you needed to play the reverse of that, then if you're already heated up by some situation and it's your dosha to be pitta and fiery, then you may want to look at the other spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, to bring yourself into balance, into sattva, which is part of the gunas
I
that
need
we
to
were going
change
to talk
my
about.
diet.
So we heard what you had, but we won't go
No.
into that. So,
I don't want our viewers to know what I had today. Amy, shall we start with you? Would you like to pick a posture that we haven't done before? Douglas will help you into it. You can either verbalize it or maybe, and we'll all join you, Amy. We'll all stretch with you. Number 12, let's look at what that is. Tula Danda balancing scales.
oh, that's
Douglas,
a fun
I know.
one.
It is. It is fun. All right, we're ready.
That's a
We'll go with you.
fun one.
Douglas is going to verbalize the
Wow.
instructions, so we'll all get into it.
So let's stand up, everybody. If you're able to. I mean, if you want to watch this, also great too. I mean, this is pretty. This is a challenging posture. Let's get into it from standing in Tadasana first, bringing the big toes touch and bringing your palms to touch one another. Then everyone, just for security and safety's sake, bring your hands onto your pelvis and step one foot back. Say your left foot. Step your left foot back. There you go. And you'll notice that your right toes are still directly forward, and your left toes are just angled out to the left a little bit, say to the upper left corner of your mat. Then, with your hip bones directly forward, you can bend your right knee. Bend your right knee and shift your body's weight towards the front foot, and then begin to lift the left thigh bone parallel to the ground, so that your spine and the left thigh bone come parallel to the ground if you can. It's part of the journey. Let those left toes then point directly down towards the ground, and then initially bring your hands to your heart, And then maybe you can extend your hands forward. And then everyone come back to standing with your hands on your pelvis. What's important here is to feel the circulation moving through your right leg. Do you feel that?
I want to feel my other leg now.
Oh, you want to do both sides, right?
Yeah.
So step your right foot back. Your right foot's back. And now your left toes are directly forward. And your right toes are more to the upper right corner of your mat. And as you aim your hip bones directly forward like headlights of a car, bend your left knee, everyone, so that your left knee is right over the left heel. And as you shift your body's weight forward, now the pelvis comes right over the left heel. And then the right thigh bone draws parallel to the ground. Check your spine to see if it's in its neutral alignment as you bring your hands toward your heart. And if you want, as you send your heel back, the right heel back, your fingers can reach forward. Return to standing, everybody. Your hands on your pelvis. Bring
Thank
both
you for
feet
not
to touch
making
them.
us stand for too
Well,
long.
there
That
you
was
go.
tough. That was tough.
Thank you. Yay.
Thanks to Amy, but we did learn a wonderful way of getting into a balanced posture. I love that. Since we are already standing up, and you don't have to pick a standing posture, Judith, why don't you pick one? We haven't done something before. That would be nice.
I was going to pick bridge pose, which is not standing.
Bridge.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
that's
fine.
fine. Yeah, let's
Let's
find
take
it. Let's
Setu
number
Bandhasana.
for bridge. We are looking at 46. Yeah, Setu Bandhasana. Maybe we'll have a head towards the camera.
That would be good.
Yeah, let's do that.
So
They
you all
don't-
turn your heads to the camera.
So you don't have to look at the underside of our feet.
There you go. You all turn your heads to the camera and bring your backs down onto the mat. There you go. Bring your feet just a little bit under or slightly ahead of your knees, but open your feet and knees about hip width apart from one another. Feel the ground underneath your feet. And then, as you pressure down into the ground with your feet and with your palms actually, begin to lift your pelvis up away from the ground. You want to be mindful, everybody, that your thigh bones remain parallel to one another and that your tailbone relates to the space between both of your knees and that your sternum or your breastbone reaches to the space behind you, overhead. And find your breath here.
That's the hard part, Douglas.
If you want, you can bring your arms closer together underneath your torso so that your fingers interlace just underneath your buttocks.
Feels good.
You'll notice a stretch in the upper chest, and of course we're opening up the hip flexors. Rise to your toes, everyone, lifting your heels away from the ground. Release your hands from one another, and then bring your back down onto the ground again. And to recover, draw your knees toward your torso. There you go.
Good. That's two postures in one.
Yeah.
Pinda.
Oh, Pinda, yes. Do you feel good there? Thank you.
Wow, you talked us through that so beautifully. You actually got two in one. We got two workouts in one.
Wow.
Well, let's see if a third person picks a posture that we are already maybe it's a seated posture. Josiane, would you like to pick something? You haven't been on our show, so you should experience this.
I like the stretch back. I think it's 39.
39, let's see. Dhanura. Archer's bow.
Oh,
It's Dhanurasana.
Dhanurasana. Let's set this up though. Dhanurasana is a pretty extreme posture, and it usually requires a build-up towards it. And if you have any back issues, then you might want to bypass this posture. It's pretty extreme for those of you with vertebra, herniated discs in the lumbar especially, and even umbilical issues. You may want to just watch this round. It would be great and fantastic. You can learn even through visualizing and sensing what some other body is experiencing if the conditions aren't right for it at this moment. It's all right. If you're going on into Dhanurasana, then you'll want to come onto your belly. There you go. That's it. And then bend your knees. That's it. And let your forehead come to rest against the ground. There you go. Then, as you reach to your heels with your hands, or to your ankles with your hands, hold here. If you're able to bring your ankles right toward your hands, hold here. That's it. There you go. Thigh bones remain parallel to one another. Everyone, let your hip bones relate more toward your navel. And feel the stretch in the quadriceps, the muscles of the thighs. Then, as you feel the pressure now of your ankles into your palms and your shin bones begin to reach to the wall behind you, you'll feel the body drawn up away from the ground. There's the pressure of your ankles into your palms, and the heart reaches upward. Find your breath here. Find your breath here. There you go. And then come down. Beautiful. And let your legs release. If you're able to sit back on your heels, it just stretches the spine out a little bit more after that back bend. Then sit back on your heels. Wonderful.
It's a nice balance.
Isn't that a wonderful balance?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Maybe we do have time for one more posture before we get into the heavy stuff. Who
Okay.
would like to? Margery, would you like to pick one?
Okay. What about number 40? I'm not really sure what's going on in that one.
Let's see what's going on in number 40. Oh,
Wonderful
yes,
frog.
that's the one I was. You know what? Will
actually
you
the-
talk us through that one?
Sure.
Because I would like to hear Bonner's
Sure.
explanation of that one.
It's very similar to an intense posture that you typically do on our previous episodes. You did one, I think it's called the dolphin,
Okay.
where you keep your palms down and you go all the way up, right?
Okay.
In dolphin. In this one, all you do is bring your knees down.
Uh-huh.
And basically your butt is as high as possible, but what you're doing here is you're stretching your chest muscles forward, but you're also bringing the pressure down. Typically when you try to stretch your chest muscles, your pectoral muscles, your head has to go back.
Right.
So the blood rises, but here you're trying to cool yourself so you're
Let
at a
it
lower
goes
level.
down. Yes.
So let's try that.
Let's
get
try.
in our-
That's beautiful.
Let's
Thank
sit
you.
in our-
Thank you.
Let's sit on our heels. Very simple, very easy. We'll go in the easy way. Place your palms in front of you. Place your elbows down. And then very gently, just lift your butt off of your heels and take your knees back just a little bit. So you put some space between your elbows and your knees. And then look up, look forward, not up, just forward. That's it, and just breathe, relax. This is called the frog posture. Most of the yoga postures are actually named, many of the yoga postures are named after animals. Now you can bring your knees closer. Place your butt back on your heels. Inhale, come up, and relax. You actually gave me, who picked that? Was it you, Josiane? Oh, no, Margery.
Margery.
Thank you. You gave me an easy one that was easy to explain.
Oh,
and I hope it was easy to do.
And I learned something. I have never done that posture
But this is
before.
more of a relaxing
Well,
posture
thank
every
you.
now and then.
Yay.
You're welcome. Oh, we are going into the heavy stuff now. All right. We were still waiting to hear from you about what are koshas and how does that make us a better human being. I've been reading a little bit about that, about koshas having different levels of consciousness. So we all have 5 different levels. Can you
Well,
talk to
you
that?
know, in terms of making us a better human being, I think just information is golden. You know, the more that we can understand and know about ourselves, I think the fuller we are as human beings. And the yogis have understood our being, if you will, as being for lack of a better word, divided into these 5 aspects or sheaths, koshas. The first one, of course, we relate to just automatically. We think of ourselves and know ourselves as a physical form. Annamaya kosha.
Okay.
And then going a little deeper and that when all that the physical has to do, I mean, including the organs and glands and the muscles and all that, we're the physical form. The next level in, if you will, even though it relates to the physical, because certainly when you breathe in, you can feel your breath as relates to your physical body, is the breath sheath, pranamaya kosha. That's our next level of being or awareness, the breath sheath. If you travel in a little bit more, or as some yogis say, out a little bit more, if you travel deeper, let's say, then you come to mind. And body leads to, or the movement of the body leads to a developing kind of breathing, a specific kind of breathing. A specificity in the breath leads to a developed kind of mind, where the mind has the ability to focus and expand without fragmenting. That then leads us to the next level of ourselves, if you will, of intelligence, a deeper intelligence that is
Vijnanamaya?
Vijnanamaya kosha, this intelligence that is more like the marriage of mind and breath and prana, the substance that makes the world and the universe.
So we're trying to get closer and closer to the inner self. Is that
It's
like a journey?
It's a journey from the outer sheath and understanding it to the more developed or more subtle sheaths, till finally you get to the sheath that has no form at all. It's just bliss. It's just anandamaya kosha, pure consciousness beyond conditioning. And it's through this journey from the outermost to the innermost that we travel as we're practicing yoga. Even the postures, you can see yourself first teetering in the physical body, maybe if you're holding the balance that you wanted us to do. Then if you were to study a little closer, you might find that your breath takes over in a way to support you there. Then mind comes sharper as you figure out the articulations to keep you there. Then there is this deeper intelligence that takes over or that moves to the forefront, where you're not thinking, but something innate is thinking you, in a sense.
Wow, I love
that. And then
What
you
an
then
expression.
flower open into this joy, from
So
having.
that's when we discover the Atman, our real self.
Yes.
So are we there yet today? Where are we today? What level are we? Under Maya Kosha, the physical side.
But maybe we just travel between the whole spectrum, and then eventually.
Just listening to you, I think I'm already at another level. We are all there. No, I love the way you explain. We all do. I think we're going to encourage Douglas to speak a little more, but let's get into two more postures. I think two of us have not had a chance, two of our participants. Who has not had a chance to pick a posture? You. Thought you'd get away, Zai. Come on. Well, take advantage. Douglas is here today.
Let me see. Number 16.
16. Let's see what we've got. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Okay.
Let's see. Oh, yay. Wonderful. Let's stand up, everybody. Let's stand up and bring the mounds of your big toes to touch once again. This is a nice setup in that it balances the outward and inward rotation of your legs, just so that we reach a balance even there. As you separate your toes a little bit, will you bend your knees and bring your hands onto your thigh bones? We'll enter into it in this way, this sort of chair. It gives a chance for the legs to heat up a little bit.
Then shall we combine?
We could. I'm going to move past this, but we can break this down a little bit more, but then send some weight toward your heels, everyone, and then let your belly come to rest toward your thigh bones. There you go. And see if you can feel the heels of your hands beginning to draw back toward your hip bones. You feel the spine lengthening then. And as your belly continues to reach towards the thigh bones, your hands can reach down towards the ground and then lengthen your legs, keeping some flexion at the backs of your knees so that your kneecaps draw upward if you're able to lengthen your legs. Then let your head relax, or your neck muscles relax so that your head dangles. Feel your shoulder blades now reaching back against your back towards your sit bones or towards your buttocks. and find your breath here. Notice that we were playing the koshas, really, the physical, and now the breath, then mind as we were articulating, and now a deeper intelligence that sort of opens to you, and you find yourself sustained and saturated in this substance, and then maybe joy of just being here. If you're needing to come up here, come up slowly. We've been here for a while. Bring your chin to your collarbone. It just balances your blood pressure. And then walk your hands upright, or walk your hands up your thigh bones. Come up slowly, and we'll come back to Tadasana, where your palms are touching, and the mounds of your big toes are touching. And there you go. That's it.
That was a nice hamstring stretch.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I love the way you related it to the koshas as well. So now we know we're doing more than just the physical side.
Yes, more
especially
than
when we're practicing with you. We have time for one more posture before we go into a little more of the heavy stuff. Ooh,
That
Judy.
must be me. That must be me.
Yes.
Let's see. What about 47?
Let's see, 47.
We've actually done that.
We have. Oh,
We have tried that. I think Douglas took us through that.
What about number 46? Like
We did that today.
we did that with today.
Yes.
Okay. I am. Let's see.
You were in your Annama pasta.
I
Annama
guess
cushion.
so. I'm sorry.
No,
What
no,
about?
that's good.
Because I was thinking about a twist pose. What about 34?
Beautiful.
Okay.
Supta Namaskara, yeah?
A nice twist.
That's a good twist. So come onto your backs again, everyone.
Okay, heads to the camera.
Heads to the camera. That's it. And then, just noticing that both of your legs can drop down towards the ground. Just noticing the weight of your legs or your thigh bones and your shin bones. Just let that part of your body drop down into the ground. You feel the weight of your body. And the pelvis is level to the ground. Thank you. And now reach over with your left hand to the right side of your body. Just a little twist. There you go. Reaching over and twisting, letting your spine rotate to your left. There you go. That's it. Or to your right, sorry. And then reaching all the way over to the, if you're able to take a twist, but leave the pelvis down on the ground. We have one moment. And then recover everybody, coming back onto your back again, and round up to sitting. So, there you go.
ஆனந்த தாண்டவம்.
Ooh.